myself to you. Today my name is Philip and I'm the Wellbeing Lead of a local youth work charity called LiNX. And as the Wellbeing Lead, I like to think about things that affect young people's well-being. And something that affects a lot of young people and their well-being is tiredness and sleeplessness. And I know it affects a lot of people because I talk to people and they're always telling me how tired they are and how much they struggle with sleep. So I did a lot of research and I did a lot of thinking and a lot of exploration around this topic of sleep, and I found out some useful tips which I'm going to share with you today. Now the first thing is that left unchecked we often get into a bit of a vicious cycle. So poor emotional health affects sleep, and bad sleep affects poor emotional health. And so the wheel will just turn and turn and turn like this. As our sleep starts to suffer, so will our emotional health, and as our emotional health starts to suffer, so will our sleep. But the good news about a vicious circle is, once you start pushing it the other way, it can become a virtuous circle. So improved sleep can improve emotional health, and improved emotional health can affect sleep, and we can get better sleep and improve sleep. So once we push the wheel, we can find ourselves actually increasing our well-being all round. So when I looked into sleep, I found that really there were three main keys that affect sleep and unlock improved sleep, better sleep. So the first key is routine. What happens is this: when we are babies, whoever's looking after us, they develop a nighttime routine. For most babies, they have a very strict nighttime routine. The same activities take place, the same gentle, soothing sounds, the same way that we prepare the baby's brain for sleep. So those things become little triggers, triggering the sleep process. And that routine will start at the same time and will end at the same time, and it will introduce the baby to a good routine. Now the thing is, our brains crave habits. We love habits. So anything that can become a habit will become a habit. And so what happens is that routine, or a sleep routine, quickly becomes a habit. And habits are comforting, they comfort us. So we are comforted by that. But then in an effort to help the child become a bit more independent, at some point, quite often, most parents or most people who look after the child sort of introduce responsibility and say, it's over to you now. And most of us, if we're honest, when we have the responsibility for our own sleep routine, we don't even think of it like that. We don't even think of it as a routine. We just think, oh, well, I'll go to bed when I'm tired. But what happens then is we introduce chaos, and our brains hate chaos, and chaos unsettles them. And so our sleep starts to get less good than it once was, and again, we're back into that vicious cycle. But again, the good news is that the way that we can solve this is it's in our own hands. We are responsible for our own sleep time routine, our own nighttime routines. It's just we don't think of it like that. But it's actually really easy to fix. And here's the thing about sleep. It's not just about how long you're asleep for. It's also about how effective is your sleep pattern. I'd like to have a little look at this picture here. This is a sleep cycle, and this is quite an effective sleep cycle. There are highs and there are lows, and there is a pattern to it, and there is a rhythm to it. And you go quickly into sleep, and you go into deep sleep, and then you go up through the layers again, and then you go down through the layers again. And actually, that's the way we've been designed. We're supposed to hit lots of layers at regular intervals through the night. But when you are going to sleep exhausted, you don't do that. You just flatline. And so you don't go through all those layers. And each layer has a different job to do. And each layer will bring a different level of rest into your life. And so when you are just falling asleep because you're exhausted, you're not actually achieving the things that you will need to have an effective night's sleep. And so you could sleep for hours, but you'll still be tired. You're just creating the situation that is never going to get better on its own. And actually, in the end, all you need to do is recognize that if you are sleeping for a long time and you're still tired, or if you're not falling into sleep easily at night, because actually the more routine you have, when your head hits the pillow, you're going to hit very quickly into a deep sleep. And if that's not happening, then routine is the first key that can unlock that. And only you can fix that. You just develop a routine and you stick to it. And the reality is it won't change for the first night and it won't change for the second night. And so you'll think to yourself, oh, this isn't working. Stick to it, because you've got to keep going until it becomes a habit. And 2 weeks down the line, 3 weeks down the line, a month down the line, when it becomes a habit, that's when it starts to really affect and improve your quality of life. Routine. Our second thing that affects our sleep is the environment. And there's lots of different things that affect the environment. But the reality is there's one thing which is massively disrupting people's sleep environment. And I'm going to annoy you now, but this is that thing. A phone, a mobile phone. It affects two elements of the environment. The first one people know about, light. So the light of a phone, the blue light of a phone, is actually quite disruptive to our sleep rhythms. And so what happens is that our brains get into the idea that it's daytime and they get confused, and that again is disruptive to our sleep. But even if, and you should, change it to nightlight settings and all those things, even if you do that, your phone can still disrupt your sleep. There are many studies which show that even a switched off mobile phone next to you or near to you, within arm's reach of you, even a switched off mobile phone will affect your sleep patterns and your quality of sleep. Now the reasons for that are a bit more complicated, but if I said to you, why don't you sleep well at a sleepover? Well, there's many reasons, but one of them is that when we are surrounded by social interaction, we are conditioned to not sleep deeply. So if you think back to that picture, you won't be going into the depths of sleep, because knowing that people are at arm's length, you are conditioned to not drop into deep sleep. Now, people live on your mobile phone. Your brain very quickly assumes your mobile phone is people, and because it is, it's your social world. And if it's your social world, which it is, then if it's in within arm's length, then your brain is designed not to go into the depths of sleep. And I know it's annoying, but the reality is if you want to transform your sleep, then you've got to be moving the phone further away, and you need to be building in at least half an hour before your head hits the pillow with no phone. I know it's annoying. You don't have to do this stuff, but the reality is that will make a difference. Now the third key, I talked about 3 keys that can transform your sleep, and the third one is emotions. And this is what happens for most people. We're busy. We rush through life. I know school is incredibly busy for you guys. And all day long you're thinking about stuff and you've got stuff to do and all the rest of it. And then the first moment of quiet we have in our day is when our head hits the pillow. And our brain will suddenly spring to life. Because the reality is we have to, as humans, have quiet times in our day when we plan, we review, we look back, we look forward. And if you're not creating those times in the day, then your brain will just seize them in the first quiet moment it gets in the day, which is the moment when your head hits the pillow. For loads of you, I can guarantee that the moment your head hits the pillow, suddenly your brain is sparking to life with worries and things that you think you might have forgotten about and things that you're thinking about in the day. It will always do that unless you deliberately create a different time Again, a little bit before your head is hitting the pillow, where you stop, you rest, you're quiet, you think about the day. What you could even do is just write down a couple of things. If your brain is the sort of brain that likes to chew over stuff that's coming up, just write them down and then keep reminding yourself, I don't have to think about that right now. I'm just going to let that go because it's written down in my book. But again, all reasonably simple things that you can do, but they're actually big things and they're huge lifestyle changes. And eventually, after a few weeks, they can transform your sleep. And you can be one of the few people that you know who isn't tired all the time. So 3 keys. Build a routine. Only you can do that. Just think about it and just stick to it. Decide what time you want the head to hit the pillow. Work backwards from that. Build a calming routine. Put down your phone half an hour before your head hits the pillow. It will make a difference. And lastly, find some time in the day to stop and just rest and review and maybe even write some things down. And then just remind your brain when your head hits the pillow and it wakes up with all these thoughts. You don't need to do that anymore. We're doing that at another time of the day. Bless you guys. I hope some of that is helpful. I hope some of that works for you because genuinely I think this stuff can make your well-being and particularly your sleep and your tiredness a whole heap better. Thank you.